Had a couple things I was able to get up to. The first of which was a board game that I'd been eyeballing for a little bit. So um, there's a game called Alice is Missing, and
Ah,
it sounded pretty interesting as it was a. I kind of first heard about this. Sir Meow told me about it. It's a like card game that you play entirely with your phone with other people in the room
wow. This is the perfect
right.
Gen Z game.
Oh, it sure is. It sure is. Right. Yeah,
Is it
Fox.
my turn in Monopoly yet?
So not exactly that. It's interesting though. So Foxcade is in town as well. So basically, went to go hang with them, and we did a little round of this game, 5 players. And the main detail about this, because I got a copy as well, because it sounded really interesting, and it was like it's a cool thing, but you can only really play this once,
Oh,
and you can show it to other people, but like it's not something that you can really redo multiple times because of how particular its kind of narrative is. And what it is essentially a game where it is part card and role play. It is part like you are playing these. You're each the role of a character. Alice is a teenager who lives in this town of Silent Falls, right? And she
all
goes,
right.
and Alice is a teenager, and she goes missing. And the 5 people playing the game, you each are someone in her life. You're either, her older brother, or her best friend, or her secret girlfriend, or one of multiple people in her life. And you take on that role, and you each, once you have that, the people in the room, you are basically going to be playing and communicating via texting each other only. So shooting, you can play it via like that, or just jump in a Discord, but you only chat, you don't talk out loud. And the game lasts exactly 90 minutes.
Okay.
The way you play it is there's a video that you load up on a TV, and it is a 90-minute countdown, and you click play and begin the game, and there's a timer that
Okay.
is going down. So the whole time you're in the room, it's playing, there's music, and it's got the timer, and you've each drawn cards that are meant to be played at certain number of minutes, counting down the
Okay.
90. So you get to, like 5 minutes in, one of the cards, or 10 minutes in, one of the cards I've drawn is to be played at the 80-minute mark. And it is an event that occurs. Something that we discover about about Alice, like some detail.
Yeah.
And excuse me, I just muted. I was coughing. And then what you're kind of doing is, at that point, the card will tell you to draw one of these suspicious, like, NPCs in the town, draw a suspicious location, perhaps go to it and do a search, or perhaps just tell everybody about what's going on. But you are putting these pieces together and getting a clue as to, like, someone that might be, the culprit, or someone that might be suspicious, or whatever's going on. You also, each character has their own elements that they have a different relationship with Alice. They have like different relationships with each other that you have to kind of play off of, and you have to kind of create 1 or 2 secrets that only you and Alice have with each other. So the Alice that's kind of created for your game is unique to the people that are playing that round. You know, it's a very interesting, like, because it's not exactly a board game in that way. It's like it's not just playing cards and pieces. It's the kind of communication element is a big part of it. And to that end, I would say that, like, the role playing is also a big part of it. You essentially are, like, looking at it and going, okay, my role as the older brother, for example, was to I'm very protective of the best friend. but I'm extremely suspicious of the secret girlfriend. And
I would be suspicious of the secret girlfriend also.
right.
I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Sure. And then, it kind of asks you, okay, like you had a big fight right before Alice went missing. What was it about? And that's a detail that only you have, And so there's these things that are like, suspicious details that can be on other people or on yourself. And you can kind of like, work those things together with any other relationship like issues that they might have. And in the end, there's one of those bits where I'm like in it. So there's that part of it. And then there's also like, even though it's my sister that's missing, I'm kind of the goofball that's not going to take it seriously. And so like people are like, what the fuck, dude? Relax. Like it's your sister. And you're kind of like, you're afraid of the reality of things. So you're the first one to crack a joke, to toss an emoji in there, to do whatever, And so you kind of have this sort of, I guess, back and forth, and then you get to a certain time point, and then another escalation point happens until you get all the way down to the final one. Based on the cards you pull and or what pops up, you yourself, your character can die. You can get things can happen to you, and again, the only way to communicate is via text. So sometimes like messages are incomplete or there's missing information and stuff, and the rest of the players have to kind of figure it out without you. It's a really interesting, unique experience of a board game. It's also like, obviously it's the type of thing where as everyone's playing and as multiple things can go wrong, this can get super real as well. Some of the there's some of the locations in town can involve like, the old mall, that empty barn up the up the hill. And there can be like the creepy history teacher, that weird person that lives in town that nobody really knows, the popular kids, the bully, all these people are kind of like floating around as well. And like, at some points you can get calls from them or rather like get information from them and then have to like break that out to the group. But like, who do you share it with back and forth and stuff is part of it as well. It is definitely got little elements where, now that I've seen it, I can say, I'm like, okay, so 1, the location is Silent Falls. 2, at one point, there is like a card that's like, the best friend has a buried locket that went missing. Who saw the locket go missing? And you're like, oh, we're just doing Twin Peaks here, right?
Yeah.
There's big,
100%.
Exactly. So big Twin Peaks vibes to the game as well. And big, I'd say Twin Peaks, what I said before, and Life is Strange too, is part of it as well. But it is kind of like it's the fact that the game is on an active timer means you have an active time battle board game feeling to things. You could only communicate so much in so much time, and while you're in the middle of trying to convey some information or something, someone else might pick up a card up and play it and be like, never mind that shit. We got a call from the lighthouse. Something's going on over there. It's muffled screams. What's going on? Someone can go investigate. And then if you go investigate, no one can be in the same place at the same time. So there can never be any like, reason for you to be able to like exchange information directly. It has to be, either in this like group text or via DMs and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. This has been a relatively complex explanation. Do you feel that this game was very complicated to explain how to play for something you can only play for 90 minutes one time?
I think the complexity is more just me describing like the variations of what's going on. It's not that complex once it's actually rolling out and happening. I think the fact that like narratively, I think you can play it with other people that are having their first time. I think if you and the same group of friends play it, it might be like, yeah, something that won't be as effective necessarily on repeats. You can, I suppose, but the RPing is part of it, right? To me, I like the kind of randomized gaming element of it, so there is a bit of that I guess your rogue type quality of like, it's going to be different each time. But what it's doing is unique enough that I feel like it's like that's pretty cool though. You know, it's worth experiencing. I think with some friends if this sounds interesting to you. You know, if you're into different kinds of board games or not into board games at all, then you know the appeal might be different. But if you do like the aspect of role playing and kind of creating character and having a customized experience, if you thought that Dialect, that game I talked about, which is like about creating a language, if you thought that sounded cool, you might also think this kind of sounds. You might also like this, is what I would say. It's not for everybody. It's not for anyone who's looking for necessarily a game of Risk. You know, which is like, here are the rules, here's what we're going to play, we're going to go hard, and that's it. This is a bit of a, you know, like a back and forth with the group of people you're playing with. And, you know, like you might get the role of, again, you're helpful or you're an asshole or whatever the case is. And if your job is to be standoffish, but you're not good at playing the role of that person, it might be less effective, you know, as far as that game goes. So, you know, I kind of feel like I've played good and bad games of Secret Hitler, for example. It all depends on the crew you're with.
Yeah.
But as far as a like Gen Alpha ass, everyone in the room is going to sit in front of a YouTube video and heads down in your phone for 90 minutes and just go. Like that is the most like yes, that is premium Gen Alpha gaming experience right there. But I think it's interesting. So yeah, that was fun. I would say yes, to go back on the only play it once bit, I guess let me elaborate on that because I can see like that would be like a major sticking point. You can play it another time, but I would definitely think that it mainly like you want to have new people each time experiencing it. It wouldn't be like, you know, you and the same group of friends playing Catan for the 80th time, you know, doing the same old thing. So, you are working together to solve what happened. There's a chance based on what you draw or based on, you know, sort of the random way the cards come together that you may or may not be able to solve it. You know, there's bad endings, there's all kinds of variations to it, and how you particularly play and what you draw from the decks as well kind of create the narrative. But in the end, you are ultimately trying to cooperate to solve what's happening. So
what happens if you don't solve it and you can't play it again?
Well, you can play it again, but for example, what happened in our game was Sir Meow ended up finding her, but he found her body, and then he got ambushed by one of the people that was suspicious from before that we couldn't find, and then
I see.
got cut off mid-text before he couldn't talk anymore. You know, there was like a whole particular way that our way played out. Some of the details and cards and stuff as well get pretty gory and pretty nutso and graphic as well. So it's kind of like there's a lot of bad that can happen, you know, in to you and or to your Alice. So anyway, yeah, played that. Had a unique and pretty fun time with that. Check it out if that sounds something like it's up your alley. Alice is Missing is what it's called.